Welcome into Rebound Off the Net as we continue our series interviewing executives from around the league. I'm your host, Joshua Cox. Today we welcome in for the first time the co-owner and general manager of the Washington Wolfpack, Miguel Morga. Miguel, welcome to the show, man.
Hi, happy to be here. Thank you.
First off, I like to do this the first time we have someone on. Tell us a little about your background, how you got involved with the Wolfpack.
Non-traditionally, that's how we kind of all of us got involved. I had spent some time working with one of the other owners on the semi-pro side. There was communication about an indoor football team forming in what was then the Arena Football League. We reached out to offer assistance. Kind of just enjoyed that idea and kind of really coming up at this from a fan perspective, and how good that could be for the Everett area and kind of the Pacific Northwest. And so ultimately that led to an opportunity to create an ownership group, and our ownership group was created, and we decided to jump in with both feet. And as I said, we came at this from the fan perspective. None of us had background in indoor football, so it's been quite an experience.
What was your connection with J.R. Wells?
J.R. Wells was someone who was one of the coaches for the semi-pro team that was in the area. I believe that was his first year coaching that team as the offensive coordinator. I got to know him through there. We interviewed a couple different options for a head coach. He made the most sense, and we've been thrilled with that decision and kind of the work that he's brought, the energy that he brings. He brings far more energy than I do, as you can tell. It's just been he's been a great advocate for the team and a great face for the organization.
Yeah, great dude. He's one of my favorite guests on here. So. We'll dive into some specifics here in just a moment, but overall, what was this crazy 2024 season like for you all in Washington?
I won't sugarcoat it. It was miserable. As much as we tried to keep our own house in order and prepare for the season and prepare with certain expectations that have been outlined to us, the constant flux, I think the closest description I can come up with is a Ponzi scheme. Eventually the house of cards crumbled down, and we were left with having to pivot, having to cobble together an organization to be successful. And I think we did. I think, all of the metrics we looked at locally were very excited about what we were able to do, being that most of us were coming at this from a fan perspective and not experts in indoor football. It's certainly, the fact that a number of things didn't materialize and we had to, on the fly, become indoor football experts was a challenge, and certainly impacted us. But I don't believe it took away from the fan experience. That wasn't the feedback we got from fans. It didn't take away from the excitement of the games. It didn't take away from the product of the field or kind of the outlook from our fans. That was mostly kind of just behind the scenes struggle.
Yeah. Y'all are one of the teams that were promised supplemental money to make payroll early in the season, which of course didn't come to fruition. How were you all able to make it and survive when a lot of teams weren't?
We were as an organization in inability to invest and cover shortfalls. We had planned on a very lean budget to begin with. So we weren't overextended in other areas, whereas maybe some other teams were. I didn't get into anybody else's books but my own. But we had operated under a let's keep everything lean. We didn't have any staff, so there were no staff salaries we needed to cover. So we didn't have an office. so there was no office rent to cover. So the fact that we were built pretty lean and expected a pretty lean first year, it put us in a position to be able to absorb some of those. So again, certainly wasn't easy, certainly wasn't expected, certainly wasn't fair to the investment group, the players, the fans, anyone involved. But we were able to cobble together the ability to finish the season. We had great partners, we had great fans, and so we were able to kind of muscle it through.
You really struggled on the football field this year. From a fan's perspective, you seem to be outmanned most weeks. What is your overall assessment of your on-the-field product this season?
I think our on the field product was actually pretty good. I mean, there were, and I think in any league, there were teams that jumped out to the forefront. I mean, yeah, we had two really tough games against Billings, which ended up winning the championship. Looking at how the season was built, we knew there were going to be a couple teams that jumped out that were going to lead, and a number of the other teams that we really felt that we would be, in positions to be really competitive with and win some games. They folded. So it kind of left us, we had two very competitive games with Oregon that, came down to the last drive. We were able to upset Southwest Kansas to get a win. I think, that Wichita game was competitive. We had some good starts with the West Texas team. So I felt really strong about the caliber of athletes we put together and we put on the field. It's no secret we primarily recruited from the outdoor game, and for anyone who goes from the outdoor game to the indoor game, it's an adjustment. And I'd say to where I certainly take the responsibility. Maybe we thought that, or I thought that adjustment wouldn't take as long as it did. It wouldn't be as harsh as it was. But I thought, we had great caliber athletes. We had great caliber individuals, and that was really important to us. Was to have players that were, just good caliber professionals. And I think we had some really big standouts: J.R. Nelson, Deshaun Williams, Brandon Wellington, certainly, worthy of looks to jump to the next level of football. So I'm pretty proud of what we put together.
It was a difficult season on a variety of fronts, but what is your greatest memory from this season?
Greatest memories always going to be the opening kickoff of our first home game, just because of the work that went into that, the culmination of a group of fans jumping into this to create something special. We had a great crowd at our home opener, and just seeing that visual of the opening kickoff, that will always be my number one memory. Having that mid-season home win certainly will always be a special spot. And the road win at Southwest Kansas, winning on the the last in the last 10 seconds of the game, and tying it up, and then having Melissa kick the game-winning extra point. That's certainly a special time. And the other thing that always stands out to me, is just that crowd interaction. So during the games, I would run the merchandise stand. And so to just be able to interact with the fans and, talk to them about what got them there, how they're enjoying things, and just seeing that energy, and just hear that excitement and optimism towards season 2 and wanting to become season ticket holders. I guess long answer to a short question, but there were a lot of moments. But for me, that opening kickoff on our first home game will always be the most special.
The season ended, you probably had a variety of options on the table. Why did you decide to follow the other teams to the AF1, and what makes you think that it'll be successful after this difficult season?
Um, I did really don't consider there to be any other option. Indoor football, and this is coming again. I'm going to keep saying it, coming from the fan perspective. You you know, we had certain thoughts of what it meant to be professional indoor football team and a professional indoor football operation. And what we found out through our experience in the Arena Football League was that was not something that was matched by the executives there. And what we saw and what was left with us with the Arena Football League at the time was the teams that were ended the season were the ones that had to band together, make the schedule adjustments, make the travel adjustments, pay, in a lot of cases, pay the bills. So what came out of that was a high level of trust. We know, one, we know we're the only ones we can count on. And that's, I think I've shared that a number of times. We know we have the ability to do it because we did it. And when you look at the positives associated with our league last year, it was the teams. It was the people that fell in love with Billings, Albany, our team, the other teams. We're the assets of any prospective league. And so, wanting to work together with the other teams to build off of what we finished in 2024, and we meaning the 8 teams, what we finished in 2024, building something special for 2025, to me was the only option. I'm not sure how the other teams felt about it. I mean, ultimately, we all made the same decision, but to me, there really wasn't any other option.
What are you most excited about, and what do you want to see from this new league?
I'm excited about the stability. Having some level of predictability and planning, and going back to you asked about the on-field product last year. I mean, there were weeks where it was Friday morning when I finally notified Coach Wells who we were playing that weekend. It makes it hard to plan, do any type of film review. I'm looking forward to the stability. I saw what we could put together when nothing was going in our favor. The idea of having some predictability, some planning, and learning from where we discovered our own excuse me, learning from where we discovered our own internal gaps from the business side, to be able to grow. That's why I'm incredibly optimistic and what I'm looking forward to. I think we're going to see a completely new league, a much higher functioning league, and just the greatest arena football you're going to see.
Oregon was going to be your all's one of your all's biggest big rivals last year. They are, of course, gone now. As of now, you all don't have a team up there close to you all. Who do you see that could maybe become your rival for the fans to get excited about? And do you want to see a team closer in proximity to you all?
Um, I'll kind of answer that in parts, and first and foremost, Billings is our rival. That's they won the league. They came and spoiled our home opener last year. At some point, we want to give it back to them. And Coach Walker, with his ties to Everett, being a former coach out here, we certainly are looking forward to long term, very fun games with Billings. And as much grief as I can give Steve Titus in the future, I'm always looking forward to that. I'd certainly love to see a team in Oregon come back. I was disappointed to see that leave. Stockton is one of the expansion teams, certainly in our geographic region. But I also think we need to explore Vancouver. Vancouver is a couple hours away. It's an international market. I'm very excited to see how Monterey works as a market to open the door to teams in Canada coming in, and I think if we could get a team in Canada, a team in Oregon with Stockton, and us, we'd have a pretty good regional element here. And then, but we're always going to be up to travel to Billings to and host Billings to have some great games there.
It was announced last couple of weeks. The weekly salary this year is going to be $400. You all were, from what I'm aware, had one of the lowest payrolls among teams last year, so which this should help you all out. How do you improve the product on the field and be more competitive in an age where fans are generally impatient?
Well, one, where I think there were struggles last year. And again, it's just not living up to your commitments. Everything was set out to be a specific salary, and there just wasn't an ability and wasn't a plan to address that. I think now that what you're describing, it's known, and we can build around that. There are a ton of great athletes that are looking for opportunities. I think Washington gives one of the best opportunities. We've got a great market. We've got a great ambiance. We have a great arena. We have a great presentation. We have great fans. We're going to put together a very competitive team, and we're going to find the best players and those diamonds in the rough that are looking for those opportunities. And Coach Wells is someone that will draw out all the talent he can get out of anyone. So I'm again optimistic. I think I think had the league went through under the the original plans last year, I think we had put together a team that could make the playoffs. It didn't happen; things didn't go our way. But I think from a on-field position, we're well positioned to hit the stride, compete with the playoffs. And I know JR's number one goal is championship. That's the only goal. And what a way for us to stick it to Billings by being the champs this year. So we're just going to get to work, put things together, showcase what makes Washington great. Anyone coming here is going to have the best looking helmet in the league. We're always going to have the best looking helmet of any league we play in. So a lot of advantages to Washington.
Y'all got a great logo. Let's look off the field a little bit. How do you think you did as building a fan base, and what growth do you want to see as your product continues to evolve?
Going back to last year, we started with nothing, and we started from a place of nothing, and we were able to grassroots bootstraps marketing, get people in, and we were really focused on fan engagement. And so we had a pregame tailgate area, we had in-game, on the concourse, we had games, we had kids activities, we had kid giveaways. We wanted anyone who was going to invest their time and resources into coming to our game to enjoy themselves from the second they park until they leave. And I think we knocked it out of the park on that end. And as someone who monitored merchandise sales, in our last game, you talk about kind of. You can look at the record as a snapshot. Between our second to last home game and our last home game, which was the week 10, we had a 70% increase in attendance. And we sold 35% more merchandise dollars than our second highest game. That's how we finished the season. And we started building, taking deposits for season tickets for 2025. As we're committed. We've been committed this whole time. Most of the we had a good number of season ticket holders, and we've got high retention numbers, but more than double that number have signed up to put deposits for next year because people had a great time at our games. I'd like to see us, boost attendance, get into that, 2,250, 2,500 fans a game. I think we can do that through our season ticket sales and our marketing, and just kind of, we invested dollars into kind of digital marketing to gather data. So now we've got more leads. We've got a narrower focus, so we can spend more time and probably get a better bang for our buck time wise. So I think our current fans have been our biggest advocates, and they've been our biggest recruiters for bringing new fans in. So we just want to keep that high level of fan engagement, fan experience, and I think that's how we get the growth, and we'll continue to get the growth. And eventually, maybe it's the third year, but build up to the 2008 Everett Hawks time where they were drawing 4,000 people a game. And that's consistent. 4,000 is about what the Everett Silvertips, the hockey team, draws. So I think that's where we want to eventually build to. But, we have to be realistic that this, that's going to take some time. That didn't develop overnight.
What are your goals for next season? What do you want to accomplish both on the field and off the field as a franchise next season?
I mean, the goals really are not fundamentally different. There are things we're not going to bend on. From the time someone parks until the time they leave. If they're coming to the game, they're going to have a good time. That means we have high quality professional individuals that are part of our team, that are playing, that are putting on the best performance that they're able to do. I think that we're going to put together a team that's going to compete with any other team in the league, and we have postseason expectations next year. But we at no point want to sacrifice the enjoyment that comes with arena football, and I think that is how, as an entity, as a product, we grow, and the AF1 grows, and being able to showcase that through streaming, through broadcast, but make sure that high level of the fan engagement and fan satisfaction is there.
What did you learn in this new space being involved in arena football?
That there are a number of different thoughts regarding what professional arena football is and looks like. And I mean more from the business side. We had a very bad experience last year, and relying on people to honor commitments that were made, and to us, the idea of not honoring commitments is a foreign concept. So to kind of have that negative realization that exists, and there are people willing to do that, and just seeing how those decisions can impact people at the personal level. I mean, we're not immune. We read the stories about people getting kicked out of their hotels, kind of left stranded, and that frankly was disgusting. And that business, the idea that one could consider that to be acceptable in professional arena football or professional indoor football, it's unconscionable to me. And so I guess maybe we've learned to be a little more guarded, a little more relying on ourselves, and taking a little more ownership in that. But while we saw maybe the worst of the worst last year, just being able to go to AFU and hear from people who have the same idea of what professional indoor football looks like, what professional sports looks like. So in kind of having that negative realization, also being reinforced how positive it can be, how knowledgeable people are out there, and how if you put that plan together, we can all grow and we can be successful. So it's really it's kind of hitting both ends of the pendulum. We saw the absolute worst of the worst, and I think we're experienced now the best of the best.
If you were dreaming and looking towards the future, we were having a conversation 5 years from now, where do you want the Wolfpack franchise to be at that time?
That's a great question. You know, I'm a sentimental person. Um, I want to 5 years from now be at the merchandise table talking to fans and hearing the same great excitement about that fan experience as I did last year. That can't and won't ever go away from me. Now, I'd like to see us with 4,000 fans, at those games. But to me, it's all about creating the opportunities, having that excitement, having that fan engagement. It's really just growing that, and I want to get to the point where we're always growing that. That's where we're always centered, is on that fan experience, that player experience. So anyone from a player standpoint that's coming here, Washington is a positive experience, and I'd love to see players have the door open to the NFL. I've told every time we sign a player, I always tell them at different team meetings, like I want to see you in the CFL, the UFL, the NFL, and the only thing I ask is when you do that, I want a signed helmet from wherever you're going. So 10 years from now, 15 years from now, I can look at my office and I'll have just a variety of helmets from players that have gone through Washington on to bigger and better opportunities. So I always I want us to be there and be that launching pad and kind of be that community centered entity, and continue to live the values that we put out last year, and that I felt is why we were successful last year, as successful as we were, and certainly more successful than teams that couldn't finish the season. But I just want to see that grow. I don't I don't have arbitrary metrics as far as we want this type of return on investment or we want this type of profit. All of us are here just to make something special for the area.
Last question for you. Appreciate your time. When you look towards next season, what can you tell fans there in Washington as well as the league about what they might see?
They're going to see fast-paced, exciting football. This is going to be a new era. I know that's a tagline. So you're going to see stability. You're going to see excitement. You're going to see teams that are really competing to be the best of the best, with the best of the best players that are in the game. We are gonna be that lead league in terms of elite competition, and so excitement, fast-paced energy, where you're close to the action at a very reasonable, family-friendly cost. I'm really excited about 2025. I can't wait for that opening kickoff, and the culmination of the work that gets there. But arena football in 2025 is going to be really special and really exciting.
Sounds great, man. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.